Hello. Thanks everybody for joining this Tech Talk session. It's series number 7. I am Joe Raffinelli. I'm one of the directors of technical solutions here at Microsoft. It's a pleasure to be here. So Microsoft is a customized software development shop. We migrate old to new. We are the leading provider of professional technical services for Visual Fox Pro. Usually these discussions are very, very technical. We're taking a different approach this time. We're going to go over our 2023 survey results. It went out in March. We had 150 responses for over 100 companies, about 99% participant rate. So we're very, very, very proud of that. For this discussion, we'll be looking at 10 questions. There's typically 20. If you want to download and look at all the questions, we can put that in the chat. As usual, I'm here with my buddy, Imran Salahudeen. He is the VP of Migration Services. He's going to help us review the results, decipher the data, and we'll do some Q&A at the end. Imran, thank you very much for joining this session.
Thank you, Joe, and hello, everyone. Microsoft has been doing these VFP migration projects for the last 15 years. In that time, we perfected and have developed several tools that assist us in migrating legacy VFP application in most efficient manner. After these many years of experience, we have a lot many VFP applications in production as of today, and clients contact us for our services. This VFP survey that we conduct yearly, help us focus on our customer most important problems and provide the potential solutions for those uh, potential problems. The survey has many questions that covers the current day VFP applications, but in today's session we want to go over some important aspects that consistently come up with our clients, and clients often discuss with us. So let's review. I'm going to share my screen. Let's review the compiled result and decipher the data. Uh,
Okay, perfect.
look the
It's
screen
coming up
right
right now. We see it. So
Okay.
our first question was, how many years have you been using your VFP application? So I'll just start here. So old technology always requires an upgrade. Obviously, there's risks in staying with your old technology. These are the clients that need our help, right? So 11 to 20 years, you got 44%. So waiting too long could be more of an issue, right? So the lack of support, if you're waiting too long, there could be security risks. There could be some compatibility issues. Again, these are the folks that typically would want to engage with Microsoft. We can definitely help do that migration for you, or at least give you some stats on what to do going forward.
So,
Imran, go ahead.
V-
Yeah.
right. So VFP was introduced late 90s. There was a big number of medium to large scale applications were developed using VFP since then. As per the survey result, we see that 44% of people are using these applications for somewhere 11 to 20 years. 12% still we see that it's more than 21 years, which we can understand. So this clearly shows that most of these applications are must be enterprise level applications and crucial to the business, and people feel it's a risk to replace these applications or migrate these applications because uh, they're working so perfectly as of today. And it's always hard to make a decision to migrate it or redevelop or move to any other applications because most of these applications are written custom. We see some 8% people using VFP applications for 5 years or less. This is not surprise to us because the main reason behind these people is basically companies acquired the other companies or with the VFP application. So they started using this VFP application for less than 5 years. But majority of it have been using it for like 11 to somewhere like 25 years. Okay, so
That makes
let's
sense. Okay, so we got the second question here to our survey. How big is the application in terms of number of lines of code and screens? So the typical size is between 100 and to 250,000 lines of code. So that's That's really more of a mid-sized project. So we have the tools to actually get this migration done like a lot quicker, and it could be a lot more efficiently. The first thing we would start with is to understand the actual size of the application. So what we would use is it's called code matrix, and what that does is that gives us a high level size of the application. So it will give like the lines of code, it will give the forms, it will give the classes, and what that's going to give us is really the indication of what of like I said before, the application size. And typically what we would do is be able to give like a high level cost and duration, based on that information. So it's a very useful tool that it's one of the first things that we go through, if folks contact Microsoft to do a migration. Another thing that we can do is called a deep dive. That's where it's really taken the information that we receive, from the source code, and we do a deep dive on again, the lines of screen. There could be some spaghetti code in there. We can actually put together a report and do a deep dive of the application, because it would have grown over the years. And what happens is some things aren't, coding is no longer used, some forms are no longer used, and we're actually able to put that all together into a nice document. And then that could be used if, let's just say, somebody wanted to migrate an application maybe in the future, but it does give a nice summary of what the application size is today.
I agree to Joe. So this is what we expect actually. Our gauge is to measure the application by the lines of code it has and the number of screen and number of reports, the classes and the PRG files as well. This is all our parameters to gauge an application size. We see that there still are applications with lines of code more than 500,000. These are really big applications. And client found it big challenge to migrate such a large application. Of course, it's large application. It's complex as well. Uh, Macrosoft, what we do basically here is do a deep dive in these application code, and can identify the code that we can ignore while migration. This code can be redundant code or retired or belongs to a VFP framework that we just don't consider for migration. So we help our customers in finding the real size of application or real lines of code that is the candidate for the migration.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Third question. So question number 3 of the survey: development history of VFP app and current support system. So these are the folks, that are getting others to do the software development for them, right, as opposed to them doing it in-house. So we can do both. Like, we can develop a VFP application, and we can also support it. So we're sort of in we're in the conversation, for both aspects. So it's something that clients often do call us on. We can either do support even before we do a migration, or if folks just need to maybe replace the current developer. We can certainly do that. Another thing that we do is a desktop to cloud migrations, which is it's browser based, and it's a virtualization. It's basically taking your same desktop VFP language application, I should say, and putting it on browser based. And what that does is that allows folks to actually, be on the web and not have to be on desktop. And it is really a great way to virtualize your application. It actually was really good when folks were working a lot from home, and that wound up being a very good thing for them to be able to do, is to virtualize the application.
Right. So, as per the survey results, we can see that 45% of these applications are developed by a software firm. It clearly shows that most of these applications are either developed by a third party company or in collaboration with a third party company. This means the current companies that are using the VFP application nowadays may have a little or no knowledge of the application architecture, the business rules and the functions. They mainly know how to use this application, how to deploy it in the new customer environment, and deals with the database. but they don't necessarily have the complete detail, in-depth technical knowledge of the application that can help them migrate it or maintain it. um, and Sometimes I mean we find the our clients basically have a large application, but they cannot locate the original source code. They have the compilable code executable, they cannot find the source code. These things are real big problems. So as far the support systems work, like you have the VFP applications in production and you need someone to support it, we see that still that the people outsource this support to third party companies or individuals. There are very less companies who have the VFP resources who can support the application in house. Um, as for a result, majority say that they depend on others to handle their VFP application support. With the diminishing talent pool and higher rates these days, it's one of the most driving reasons to initiate a migration. I mean, just migrate to new technology. Freelancers are available, but they are risky because they are individuals who are working in it, and it's again a risk to have just one person know your application and who can only maintain in these applications. So it's better to have a group of people or a company who you can rely on. Microsoft provides a complete VFP shop, just not the migration service, but we provide the support services as well. So in case supporting the VFP application or enhancing it and migrating, so we can provide all those services. Let's move to the next slide.
Okay, thank you for that. So the fourth question is, do you think with that risk may occur due to lack of maintenance update in your VFP application? So a lot of folks do see that. That does not surprise us. As Imran just said, there's diminishing population of folks being able to, you know, being able to develop VFP applications. We do see it from time to time, but it's a very diminishing pool. So we're seeing 2/3 of the folks really think that is a risk. And let's see in the next slide here, what does that consist of? So we're seeing here the rate of potential risk, right? So we have incompatibility with operating systems. So that's pretty huge, right? So if it's incompatible, it's hard to grow the business, right? And it really it kind of stunts progress on how your application is going to grow, with clients. So it's something that I hear about all the time. Um, Off the shelf sometimes doesn't often work. It's either it's not good enough, or they have a lot of unwanted features that you wind up paying for, through licensing. So folks typically don't want to do that. Then we have, if it's unsupported, so it's an unsupported platform. That's another one that came up that was very high. Another one really big now is security. People want their obviously applications to be very, very secure. So not having a secure application is very, very risky. If clients get wind of that, that could be detrimental to business. So it's other risks that people that are thinking about migrating that come up that if not addressed, could make the problem, much, much worse.
Right. Out of these four risks that we found that people are rating for, I would focus on two major risks: incompatibility with the operating system and security. Windows is getting updated very frequently and supporting the VFP. Its current version is growing challenge for the IT support team. Mainly, the VFP applications are deployed in the Windows operating system, and as it's getting advanced and the VFP versions are not coming, no service packs are coming, it's a little hassle for the IT support teams. They, if not deployed on the user's desktop, it's provided through Citrix and other arrangements, but it's a continuous risk and the issue that the teams are focusing. Security is always a big risk, and it's getting bigger and bigger year by year. So this year, 60% of the people says that security is the biggest, while last year it's 50%. So that as we read those numbers, people are more feeling insecure with the VFP applications. Okay, so let's move to
Okay, question six. Thank you for that, Imran. What is your biggest impediment to modernizing to a new platform, right? So these reasons don't really surprise me. Um, we hear a lot, right? The system's performing fine now. So folks, if it's not broken, why would you go ahead and fix it? So I can totally get that, right? But there is risk there, right? If you keep kicking the can down the road too long, it's going to be a bigger and bigger risk. So it's something where folks certainly, if it works fine now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work fine, later. Sometimes the impact to business line isn't not a direct result. It's another reason why folks, don't want to migrate. But waiting could be worse, right? Because what's happening is we've noticed that if the competition's ahead of you, that's going to impact the bottom line, and that's what some folks. That's when they kind of really hone in and say, "This makes sense. If it's going to impact my bottom line, I'm going to get past some of these impediments, right, to modernizing. I'm going to basically, move forward." And sometimes folks, what'll do, they'll contact us in, let's just say, year one, and then we don't hear back from them until year two, right? And then we're fine picking up the pieces where we left off from there, and then we kind of go, go through our normal process. But it's these impediments that are making folks, not move forward. And again, you could wait, but our point here is just don't wait too long.
So,
Okay, Ron, go ahead.
right, Joe. Yes, as you mentioned as well, the biggest thing is the system performs fine.
Mm,
Majority of the companies, or I would say the business owners or decision makers, thinks that um, if VFP application is working fine, then why modernize it and why invest money on that? It looks like a weak business case. We often help companies in understanding the reality and risks associated with what which is working fine today but may not work fine tomorrow. So time to do the project is another reason. Getting new application developed and supporting the legacy application in production is a challenge, especially if VFP application is very large and requires more than a year to migrate or modernize. So supporting both the projects side by side is another challenge that our clients face. Macrosoft helps in clients in all areas and make the migration project very easy with its vast experience in the migration projects, because we've been through all these kind of business cases and risks discussions and impediment discussions and challenges and all those things. So we can answer any question and provide the solutions that is required based on the company environment or the challenges they are facing. So let's take the next question. Okay.
perfect. Thank you, Imran. So next question, what would cause you to begin a migration modernization? Then we said select all that apply, right? So whenever clients initially or potential clients initially come to Microsoft, the first question I always ask is, what's the triggering event? Why do you want to speak with us, right? What happened in your company? And these are really in line with what I've been hearing. Like you have enhancements needed. So if you have enhancements that you've been having workarounds, and after a while workarounds may not be effective for your business anymore. So that's when I'll get the call and when we walk down the process. Client requirement, right? So if clients are asking for something, and yeah, maybe they'll wait a little bit, but clients dictate most of our businesses, right? Or most of the businesses out there. So if a client wants something and they don't get it after a while, they may not be, your client for too long. So that's when we hear from clients, from potential clients as well. Obviously, security risk is huge, as you can see there. I'm surprised it's not even bigger than 50%. And then long-term viability, right, of the company. So that's why people actually would. This is why I'll get that initial call, and this is why we walk folks through the modernization, process, if you will. Next slide, Imran. Okay, thank you. All right. So question 8: what would you do with your current old system data if you moved, to a new platform? So if you see here, migrate all data to a new system. So this is where Microsoft shines, right? So we have a tool called Data Morph. So what that's going to do, it's a migration utility for data, obviously, right? So it analyzes the VFP tables and DBC and data to transfer it into a SQL server. So typically there's no easy button and a lot of things. This one's probably our one that's easiest to a button that's as easy as possible. There's work to be done there as well, but it does migrate that data into your SQL Server database, and it really does help, with this process, and it makes it efficient and obviously cost effective, as well. And we've had this tool many many years, so it works amazingly.
So when we talk about the VFP application migration, data comes automatically. So the VFP application has two components. One, of course, the application, it's a screen, reports, business rules, all those things, plus the data. Data is very important. The companies are keeping this data for last 30 years in their with their application. So um, most of the clients want to migrate their data to the new database. And Microsoft has experience, as Joe mentioned, with our tools, Datamore, and our audience can, visit our website and read more about this data migration tool.
Next question: what would be the ideal target platform for the application?
So, survey results shows that the majority of the VFP users wants to migrate to a desktop-based application. This is because people believe that browser-based application cannot provide the same user experience as a VFP desktop application provides. Performance, security, and connectivity to the devices attached to the user machine is another aspect. So most of the people think that with the browser-based application, it cannot be similar to like VFP desktop application. Second choice of users that they put is which is Java. Um, and which we think because many of these current VFP applications are mission critical applications, very crucial to the business. They think that if we are moving to Java, it will be more good. However, Microsoft always, I mean, go for the Microsoft tech stack. .NET is their choice, and Microsoft has migrated many applications using the .NET and the Microsoft stack, and it provides the same. Look and feel, usability and connectivity and performance like a desktop-based applications, and we help our customers answering all those questions. Sometimes it requires to provide a POC that okay, your desktop-based application can work seamlessly in the on the desktop. So that's all. So if you also have any question like this, we can help you out in that area.
Absolutely. Okay, and our last question: once started, what is your expected time frame to complete a migration? So you see here 7 to 12 months, 60%. That's the typical size or the timeline, I should say, when we're migrating an application. So I said it before, but this is really where Microsoft shines. So we have a bunch of tools. I'll just mention a few. I mentioned Code Matrix. I already mentioned Code Morph, which is our data auto data migration tool. Uh, I'm sorry. Data Morph is the automated data migration tool. Then we have Code Morph. That's going to migrate your VFP code to a .NET framework. And then we have Code Auto, which is our latest tool, which is artificial intelligence tool. That's going to do code refactoring. That's going to do inline code documentation. That's going to do test scripts. It makes us much more efficient, with our coding. It makes us much more efficient with our testing. It's something that we're very proud of. When we just completed that tool maybe about a month ago, so we're very 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 proud of that. Okay, so that concludes the test. I'm sorry, the survey questions that we wanted to discuss. So I'm at a point where I just want to see if anybody has any questions, maybe via chat. Okay, so we got one question. What is the average cost of a migration? So great question. So actually, I did a recording on this. So typically, it's about $3 per line of code. But with the use of our Code Auto, we've been actually able to get that a little bit further down to be between 250 and like 270 per line of code. So we keep getting better and better, with our pricing. Next question. Okay, what is the average duration of a migration? So we want to keep these projects under a year. So typically it's 6 months to a year that we'll have that will do these migrations. typically after a year, well, it depends. If it's a really really big project, we like to do it. It may have to be year over year because sometimes lines of could be very very big, so it might make sense to chop it up into different years. But the average is 6 to 9 months. Next question. Okay, what is the expectation of a company that signed up for migration services? So typically, what we'll do is in the beginning, it could be every other day talking with folks, with the clients. But after that, once we have all the information, it's typically once a week. We get back on the line to talk a bit about the migration services project, right? And then we'll do monthly stakeholder meetings. But we've noticed that if we do daily scrum meetings with clients being on the phone, maybe like a 10-minute meeting, it does answer a lot of questions very quickly, and it does even help speed things up even a little bit better. So not too much time. Again, we'll do the full migration, but there'll be some collaborative effort between both sides. Let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, we have no more questions. I want to thank everybody for joining. I want to thank Imran for all his insights. Hopefully, the survey results helped everybody in potentially going down a migration services path. Again, we are your experts. Please contact me if you want to talk about your migration. You'll see my information there. Um, okay, so we'll have another session next month, and you see my contact information there. I want to thank everybody again. Take care for now. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone.